Is this your vehicle? You got a receipt for that stroller? Officer, I'm loading groceries with my granddaughter. What's the problem? Don't reach for anything! Hands where I can see them! I am an assistant U.S. attorney. You need to fight, and I'm the...
18 minutes. That's all it took. 18 minutes from loading groceries to sitting in handcuffs. And what you just watched? That's just the beginning. Because the man in that suit? He's not who Officer Hendricks thought he was. And what happens next didn't just end a career. It changed federal law. Stay with me. Don't reach for anything. Terrence Aldridge's hand froze 6 inches from his wallet. Inside was a gold badge that read United States Department of Justice. It had taken him 18 years to earn that badge. It would take 18 minutes to have it thrown in the dirt by a cop who thought it was fake. The cop's name was Officer Blake Hendricks, 23 years old, 6 months out of the academy, training officer standing 10 feet away, evaluating his proactive policing skills. Hendricks was about to get an F and a pink slip, and his name in a federal lawsuit that would make national news. But right now, in this moment, with his hand on his gun and his ego on the line, Officer Blake Hendricks made the decision that would end his career. I said, don't move. Hands where I can see them. Terrence Aldridge was 52 years old. He'd spent 18 years as a federal prosecutor. 18 years, most people can't imagine. He joined the Department of Justice straight out of Georgetown Law. Worked his way up from trial attorney to assistant U.S. attorney. Spent the last 12 years in the Civil Rights Division. His specialty? Police misconduct. He'd convicted 3 officers in the past 2 years alone. Civil rights violations, excessive force, false arrest, the exact charges that would soon be filed against the man currently pointing at his wallet. 3 years ago, Aldridge led a DOJ investigation into the Riverside Police Department. 14 months. 847 complaint files. Every single one dismissed by internal affairs. Every single one involving the same officers. Every single one targeting the same demographic. Aldridge found the pattern everyone ignored. He built the case everyone said was impossible. He got convictions everyone said wouldn't stick. And if you think watching a man who prosecutes police misconduct get arrested by a rookie cop with a documented pattern of racial profiling is ironic, hit that subscribe button now. Because what happens in the next 18 minutes didn't just go viral. It changed federal law. You need to see how this ends. The department called him the Hammer because he didn't plea bargain. Not on civil rights cases. Not when someone's freedom was stolen by the people sworn to protect it. One defendant tried to intimidate him, sent threatening letters to his home, tried to scare him into dropping charges. Aldridge didn't flinch. He presented every letter as evidence of consciousness of guilt, got maximum sentences. Made it clear, you don't intimidate justice. But Aldridge's career came with a cost. His wife died of cancer when their daughter Sarah was 15. He raised her alone, worked 60-hour weeks while attending every parent-teacher conference, every school play, every basketball game. Sarah followed in his footsteps, became a lawyer, federal public defender. She defended the people her father couldn't save, and together they raised Zoe. 2 years old, Aldridge's granddaughter, the light of his life. Every Sunday, same routine, early church service, pick up Sarah and Zoe, grocery shopping at Whole Foods, then brunch at home. This Sunday was supposed to be no different. It was 11:43 a.m. when Aldridge finished shopping. The receipt was time-stamped, $127.43, organic baby food. Pampers size 4. Fresh strawberries, butternut squash for Zoe's favorite soup. Whole milk. The groceries of a grandfather doing weekend errands with family. Sarah was inside grabbing vanilla extract. Forgot it the first time through. Needed it for the pancakes she was making. Aldridge stood at his BMW. Black 2024 X5, $75,000. Registered to Terrence J. Aldridge, Federal Judiciary. He was wrestling with Zoe's stroller. One of those European models with hydraulic folds and aerospace-grade aluminum. His daughter bought it. He'd never figured out how to collapse it properly. He frowned at the release mechanism, his Tom Ford suit jacket draped over the driver's seat to avoid wrinkling. $2,800 suit, navy blue, expensive but understated. Zoe sat in her car seat, happy, safe, eating Cheerios. To anyone watching with clear eyes, this was obvious. Grandfather doing weekend errands. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing criminal. But Officer Blake Hendricks wasn't watching with clear eyes. Blake Hendricks was 23 years old, 6 months on the force, fresh from the academy, small-town cop who transferred to the city department. Peaked in high school, grew up idolizing action movies where cops were heroes and bad guys were obvious. His training evaluations told a story. Week 3. Treats every interaction as potential gunfight, needs de-escalation training. Week 8. Demanded ID from teenagers skateboarding in a public park. When asked for legal basis, responded, "Because I said so." Threatened arrest for disrespecting an officer. Evaluation, mistakes aggression for authority. Week 12. Stopped a jogger in a wealthy neighborhood for looking suspicious. The man was black, in running gear, he lived there. Filed an informal complaint. Training officer noted, shows pattern of racial profiling. Week 20. During a domestic violence call, Hendricks hesitated to make the arrest. Afterward, his training sergeant, Dale Hoffman, told him something that would later be used as evidence in court. "You're too soft. In this city, hesitation gets you killed. When you see something wrong, you act. Don't ask permission. Criminals smell fear." Sergeant Dale Hoffman was 42 years old, 15 years on the force. Old-school cop who valued spine over de-escalation, who taught rookies to control the situation at all costs. And on this Sunday morning, Hoffman was riding with Hendricks, evaluating his performance, watching to see if the rookie had what it took. Every single training report mentioned the same weakness. Hendricks needed to prove himself. Not once did he de-escalate a situation he could escalate instead. Zero self-awareness about racial bias. The department saw the red flags. They just didn't care enough to act. Hendricks spotted the BMW from 40 yards away. His brain processed the scene through the lens of his biases. Black man, predominantly white suburb, luxury vehicle, struggling with expensive stroller, looking around nervously. He didn't see a grandfather struggling with a release button. He saw a crime in progress. He didn't run the plates, would have shown federal judiciary designation. He didn't check for theft reports in the area. There were none. He didn't observe for 30 more seconds. Would have seen Sarah exit the store. Would have seen this was clearly his family. Hendricks turned to Hoffman. Black guy, expensive car, struggling with that stroller, doesn't feel right. Hoffman smiled slightly. "What's your move?" "Gonna check it out. Let's see how you handle it." The cruiser pulled up aggressively, blocked the BMW from behind, trapping the vehicle. No lights, just a quick whoop-whoop of the siren to startle. Aldridge looked up from the stroller, saw the police car. He didn't panic, didn't feel fear. He straightened his posture, adjusted his glasses, assumed the officer needed to get by or was responding to a nearby call. He had no idea he was the target. This calmness, this lack of fear, irritated Hendricks immediately. In his limited experience, guilty people acted nervous. Aldridge's composure read as arrogance. Hendricks exited the cruiser, hand resting on his belt near his holster. Hoffman stayed in the vehicle, watching, evaluating, no greeting, just barking commands. "Is this your vehicle?" Aldridge looked over his glasses. Calm baritone voice, professional. "Good morning, officer. Yes, this is my vehicle. Is there a problem?" Hendricks stepped closer. "Invading space. You seem to be having a lot of trouble with that equipment. You got a receipt for that stroller?" Aldridge blinked, confused. "A receipt?" "Officer, this is my granddaughter's stroller. I'm loading it into my car. I don't carry receipts for 2-year-old purchases. Now if you'll excuse me." Hendricks blocked his path to the driver's door. "I didn't say you could go anywhere. We've had reports of grab-and-run thefts in this area. That's a nice car. You got ID on you?" Aldridge sighed. He recognized what this was. He'd seen it in case files, heard about it from colleagues, prosecuted officers for it. But he thought his success, his position, his suit would insulate him. He was wrong. "Officer, my name is Terrence Aldridge. My identification is in my front jacket pocket. I'm going to reach for it slowly." Hendricks' hand dropped to his gun grip. "Don't reach for anything. I said don't reach. Hands where I can see them." Aldridge's voice hardened, judicial steel showing through. "I am trying to comply with your request for identification. You asked for ID. I'm telling you where it is. I am an assistant U.S. attorney for the Civil Rights Division. If you run the plates on this vehicle, you'll see that." Hendricks scoffed, laughed. "Assistant U.S. attorney? Right, and I'm the FBI director. Step away from the car, now." "I am not stepping away from my property. I have done nothing wrong." I am not being detained unless you can articulate reasonable suspicion that a crime has been committed. Can you do that, officer? This was the breaking point. Hendricks hated jailhouse lawyers, people who used legal terms to confuse him. He felt his authority slipping. He saw Hoffman watching from the cruiser. He needed to win. Aldridge reached slowly, carefully, into his jacket pocket, pulled out his wallet, extracted a business card with the DOJ seal embossed in gold. Terrence J. Aldridge, Assistant United States Attorney, Civil Rights Division, U.S. Department of Justice. He extended it to Hendricks. Hendricks snatched it, read it, laughed again. Civil Rights Division? You enforce civil rights? That's rich. He ripped the card in half, threw the pieces at Aldridge's feet. I've seen fake badges, fake IDs, now fake business cards. Try again. Aldridge's voice dropped an octave, full prosecutor mode. Officer, in my wallet is my federal credentials. I am asking you, for your own sake, to examine them before this goes any further. Hand over the wallet, slowly. Aldridge extended his wallet. Hendricks snatched it, dumped the contents on the ground. Federal prosecutor badge, gold, DOJ seal gleaming in the Sunday sun. Courthouse security pass with his photo, bar association card, USB drive labeled active cases classified. Full stack of business cards. Credit cards with Terrence J. Aldridge embossed in raised letters. Hendricks looked at the badge on the pavement. For a moment he hesitated. It looked real. The seal looked real. The weight looked real. But he'd gone too far. Hoffman was watching. Backing down now meant admitting he was wrong, meant looking weak. Hendricks stepped on the badge with his boot, ground his heel into it. Probably bought this online. Amazon sells everything these days. 2 cars over, Maria Delgado had been loading groceries. She'd been filming since Hendricks first raised his voice. She shouted across the parking lot. Hey, he wasn't doing anything. I saw the whole thing. He was just putting a stroller in his car. Hendricks turned. Ma'am, back up. This is police business. Police business? That's a grandfather with his grandchild. You're traumatizing that baby. Inside the BMW, Zoe started crying, reaching for her grandfather through the window. Kevin Morrison ran out of the Whole Foods. Store manager, 50-something, white, alerted by a customer about the commotion. Officers, what's happening? Is there a problem? Hendricks didn't turn. Sir, step back. Morrison recognized Aldridge. Wait, that's Mr. Aldridge. He shops here every Sunday. You know this man? Morrison pulled out his phone, showed the Whole Foods rewards account. He's been a customer for 5 years. Look, Terrence Aldridge, member since 2019. That's his car. That's his grandchild. I don't care about his grocery card, sir. Step back or you're obstructing. Lisa Torres exited Starbucks with her coffee. FBI special agent. 38 years old, she saw the commotion. Recognized Aldridge immediately. They'd worked a joint task force together, public corruption case, last year. She ran over, reached for her FBI badge, held it high. I'm Special Agent Lisa Torres, FBI. Officers, what's going on? Hendricks immediately straightened, respectful to her badge. Ma'am, we're handling a situation. Suspect was... Suspect? That's Assistant U.S. Attorney Terrence Aldridge. He prosecutes federal cases. What are you charging him with? He's impersonating a federal officer. Impersonating? Torres turned to Aldridge, still standing by his car, wallet contents scattered on the ground. Terry, are you okay? Aldridge's voice stayed calm, lawyer voice, controlled. I'm fine, Lisa. These officers refused to verify my credentials. They destroyed my federal badge. It's on the ground. Torres looked down, saw the gold DOJ badge in the dirt, saw Hendricks's boot print on it. Her face went cold. You destroyed federal property. That badge belongs to the United States Department of Justice. Officer, I'm calling my field office right now. Do not move him. Hendricks turned to Hoffman, still in the cruiser. Sarge, what do I do? Hoffman stepped out. Finally. Finish what you started, Hendricks. Process him. 17-year-old Tyler Chen had been filming the entire thing. TikTok live stream. 200,000 followers. 5,000 people watching live. Yo chat, this is insane. Cops just arrested a federal prosecutor. FBI agent is here trying to stop them. Comments are saying this dude is legit. He's on the DOJ website. The comments flooded in. That's Terry Aldridge. He's famous for prosecuting corrupt cops. These cops are done. Someone call the news. The irony is unreal. Hendricks radioed for backup. Unit 47, I need backup at Oak Ridge Whole Foods. Suspect claiming to be a federal agent, possible impersonation, uncooperative. Within 90 seconds, a second cruiser pulled up. Another rookie, also young, also eager to prove himself. Keep eyes on this guy. Claims he's a Fed, got fake credentials and everything. Want me to secure him? Yeah, let's do this right. Both officers approached Aldridge. Officers, you are making a mistake. I am Assistant U.S. Attorney Terrence Aldridge. I am not resisting, but I am not consenting to. Turn around, hands behind your back. On what charge? Impersonating a federal officer. Disorderly conduct. Resisting. I am not resisting. Hendricks grabbed Aldridge's shoulder. You are now. Both officers grabbed him. He was 52. Fit but not young. They were 23. Aggressive. Running on adrenaline and ego. They spun him around. He stumbled. They used the momentum to slam him face first against the side of the BMW. The impact echoed across the parking lot. The stroller, half in the trunk, got knocked loose, crashed onto the asphalt, rolled into the gutter. Inside the car, Zoe screamed, "Grandpa! Grandpa! Do not touch me. You are assaulting a member of the federal judiciary." Stop resisting. Aldridge pressed against the car. Not resisting at all. I am not resisting. Everyone here is witnessing. Hendricks snapped the handcuffs on, made them deliberately tight. Wanted this man to feel who was in charge. Should an officer be required to verify credentials? Actually look at a federal badge before arresting someone and calling them a liar? Or is suspicion alone enough to justify handcuffs, humiliation, and a cage in the back of a cruiser? Drop your answer below. Hendricks performed an aggressive pat-down, full view of 20-plus witnesses. Pulled items from Aldridge's pockets, confidential DOJ case files, second box of business cards, USB drive labeled active prosecutions, classified, courthouse security badge, cell phone. Kept ringing. Caller ID DOJ main office. He threw the documents on the ground. Wind scattered pages across the parking lot. Shoppers picked them up. Read the headers. U.S. Department of Justice, confidential. The backup officer leaned close to Hendricks. Dude, this looks real. Hendricks was too deep to stop. It's fake. Load him up. Sarah Aldridge exited Whole Foods. Vanilla extract in hand. She saw her father in handcuffs. Saw Zoe screaming in the car seat. She dropped the groceries, ran. Daddy, what are you doing to my father? She tried to reach the BMW to comfort Zoe. Hendricks blocked her. Ma'am, step back. That's my daughter in that car. She's terrified. I said step back or you're getting cuffed too. Sarah pulled out her phone, started filming. I'm Sarah Aldridge, federal public defender. I'm recording this. You just threatened to arrest me for trying to comfort my child. Zoe reached through the window, crying, Grandpa, Grandpa. Aldridge, hands cuffed behind his back, couldn't reach her, couldn't comfort her, couldn't protect her from witnessing this. Hendricks and the backup officer marched Aldridge toward the cruiser, past his own groceries, milk cartons on the ground, strawberries crushed, past his federal badge in the dirt, past his scattered case files, past his crying granddaughter, past 20 witnesses filming. Show's over, folks. Go about your business. Maria held her phone higher. We're not going anywhere. Everyone's a witness. Hendricks shoved Aldridge's head down. Classic humiliation tactic. Forced him into the back of the cruiser. Slammed the door. Aldridge sat in the plastic cage, adjusted his position, handcuffs cutting into his wrists. Shoulder throbbing from the impact against the car. But his mind was razor sharp. He wasn't a grandfather anymore. He was a prosecutor, building his case. He noted the time on the dashboard clock, 11:58 a.m. Officer name tags, K. Hendricks, J. Morrison. Lack of Miranda warnings. Witnesses with cameras, FBI agent as witness. Federal property destruction. Sarah ran to the cruiser window, Zoe in her arms. Dad, I'm calling your office, don't say anything. Aldridge stayed calm. I know, honey. Take Zoe home. I'll be fine. He looked at Hendricks in the driver's seat. Thought, no, you won't. The drive to the precinct took 10 minutes. For Hendricks, it was a victory lap. He rehearsed his report in his head. Suspect was evasive, refused legitimate requests for identification, became belligerent when questioned, physically resisted detention, backup required to secure subject. He'd charge everything possible. Make it stick. You think I handled that right, Sarge? Hoffman nodded. You made a call. Stuck to it. That's what matters. Don't second-guess yourself. This conversation was being recorded on dashcam. It would become Exhibit B in the lawsuit. In the back seat, Aldridge was silent, staring at the back of their heads. He didn't need to say anything. He knew exactly what was waiting at the precinct. They pulled into the station garage. 12:03 p.m. Hendricks opened the back door, hauled Aldridge out. Watch your head. Didn't actually protect his head. They walked through the booking area. Busy Sunday, phones ringing, officers typing reports. At the high desk Sergeant Tom Carver, 55 years old, 28 years on the job. Seen everything. Vietnam veteran. The conscience of the precinct. Hendricks announced loudly, chest puffed. One in custody for impersonating federal officer, disorderly conduct, resisting arrest. Carver didn't look up. Still typing. Put his property on the counter. Hendricks dumped everything, destroyed wallet, shattered phone screen, scattered business cards, crushed federal badge, then pushed Aldridge forward. Here's your suspect, Sarge. Sergeant Carver looked up. The precinct went silent. His eyes went wide. He dropped his pen, stood so fast his chair rolled backward and hit the wall. Terry Aldridge. Hendricks froze. Carver ran around the desk. What the? Who cuffed him? Get these off him right now. Sarge, this guy's not. Shut your mouth, Hendricks. That's Assistant U.S. Attorney Terrence Aldridge. He prosecuted the Riverside corruption case. He put away 3 of our dirty cops. Get the cuffs off. Hoffman stepped forward, finally realizing, oh Jesus. Key, now. Hendricks fumbled, hands shaking, handed over the cuff key. Carver unlocked the cuffs himself. Aldridge rubbed his wrists, deep red indentations, would bruise within hours. Aldridge calmly picked up his crushed badge from the counter. Sergeant Carver, Officer Hendricks refused to look at this. He told me I probably bought it on Amazon. The room was dead silent. 30 officers watching. You arrested a federal prosecutor for loading his granddaughter's stroller? Hendricks whispered. I thought. The car looked expensive. He was struggling with. Captain, get the captain down here now. Before the captain arrived, the front doors slammed open. 5 FBI agents in raid jackets stormed in. Lead Agent Marcus Reed, Torres, had called the field office from the parking lot. Where is Assistant U.S. Attorney Aldridge? Every cop in the room pointed at Aldridge standing at the desk. Reed saw the bruised wrists, the dirt on the $2,800 suit, the destroyed badge. Who arrested him? Carver pointed at Hendricks. You arrested our prosecutor? The man who works joint task forces with the FBI? On what charges? Hendricks's voice cracked. Impersonating, but I didn't know. You didn't verify. Badge, gun, now. Captain Robert Hayes arrived, saw the FBI agents, saw Aldridge, saw Hendricks. He knew immediately this was career-ending disaster. Mr. Aldridge, I cannot. There are no words. Are you injured? Do you need medical? I don't need medical, Captain. I need to file a formal complaint. Right now, I'm not leaving this lobby until it's logged. Of course, whatever you need. I also need my granddaughter's stroller retrieved. Officer Hendricks left it in the gutter on Oak Ridge Plaza. I assume it's still there unless someone has actually stolen it while he was busy arresting a federal prosecutor. Hayes turned to Hendricks and Hoffman. Badges, guns, both of you. Captain, I was just, you watched. You didn't stop it. You're complicit. Badges and guns. Now. Both officers, hands shaking, surrendered their weapons and badges. You're on immediate administrative suspension. Go to the conference room. Do not speak to anyone. Do not touch your phones. Internal Affairs is being called. They walked away, heads down, passing officers who stared with disgust. 12:30 p.m. Maria's video hit Twitter. Cop arrests innocent black man for loading stroller. 10,000 views in 15 minutes. 1 p.m. Tyler's TikTok livestream hit 500,000 views. Comments flooding, that's a federal prosecutor. 2 p.m. Local news picked it up. FBI agents demand release of wrongfully arrested attorney. 3 p.m. National news. Assistant U.S. Attorney arrested while loading groceries with granddaughter. 4 p.m. Press conference. Mayor apologized, promised complete overhaul of police training. And this is where it gets interesting. Because what happened over the next 72 hours didn't just end 2 careers, it changed federal law. If you want to see how a parking lot arrest becomes a congressional hearing that creates new legislation, you need to stay until the end. The precedent this case set protects people to this day. The evidence pile grew. If you're fired up watching this unfold, subscribe to this channel, smash that like button, and share this with someone who thinks the system never holds cops accountable. Because what you're about to see, the lawsuit, the settlement, the federal law that came from this, proves that sometimes justice actually wins. Maria's cell phone video, full arrest from beginning to end. Tyler's TikTok livestream, 5,000 live witnesses, Whole Foods security cameras, 4 angles, store manager testimony, FBI special agent testimony, dashcam video, Hoffman's stick-to-it comment preserved forever, bodycam video. Hendricks turned it on late, but it still caught the escalation. Aldridge's injuries, bruised wrists, shoulder contusion, photographed, documented, destroyed federal property, badge with boot print, scattered classified documents. Internal affairs findings came 3 weeks later. No probable cause for stop, no reasonable suspicion, racial profiling, excessive force, destruction of federal property, false arrest, violation of civil rights. Officer Blake Hendricks, fired. Sergeant Dale Hoffman, suspended without pay, later fired. The lawsuit was filed 8 weeks after the arrest. Terrence Aldridge v. City of Oak Ridge Police Department. Federal civil rights violation, 42 U.S.C. Section 1983. 7 charges, false arrest and imprisonment. Excessive force, physical assault, painful restraints on non-resisting individual. Destruction of federal property, violation of Fourth Amendment, unlawful search and seizure. Racial profiling and discrimination. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. Negligent training and supervision against the department itself. Damages sought, $13 million. The city settled within 8 months, paid the full amount to avoid trial. But here's the breakdown the public never saw. $8 million direct payment to Aldridge. Compensatory and punitive damages. Emotional distress, physical injuries, professional reputation damage. Therapy costs for granddaughter who witnessed her grandfather's arrest. Loss of dignity and civil rights. $5 million to establish a police accountability fund. Legal defense for wrongfully arrested citizens who didn't have gold badges or FBI connections. The settlement terms included a consent decree. Body cameras must be activated for all stops, no exceptions. All suspicion-based stops logged and analyzed quarterly. Officers must articulate specific criminal activity before detaining anyone. Racial bias training. Quarterly. Mandatory. End of qualified immunity defense for clear constitutional violations in the city. Independent review board for excessive force complaints. The case never went to trial, but legal experts agreed. The evidence was overwhelming. Guilty on all counts would have been unanimous. The settlement agreement included language from the consent decree that read like a judge's condemnation. The conduct displayed by Officer Hendricks and the deliberate indifference shown by Sergeant Hoffman represent a fundamental betrayal of the oath to serve and protect. When an officer destroys a federal badge, arrests the prosecutor who holds dirty cops accountable, and traumatizes a 2-year-old child in the process, all based on racial assumptions disguised as proactive policing, the system itself is on trial. This settlement acknowledges that failure. How many red flags and training reports does it take before someone loses the right to carry a badge and gun? 3 separate evaluations documented Hendricks' racial profiling pattern. Week 3, Week 8, Week 12. They gave him a weapon anyway. How many warnings do you think is too many? Blake Hendricks was fired within 3 weeks, unhireable as law enforcement, flagged in the national database, named defendant in a federal lawsuit, public infamy, face and name in every article. He currently works retail, $14 an hour at Target, known as the cop who arrested the prosecutor. Dale Hoffman was fired after 15 years, lost his pension eligibility, divorced. His wife left after seeing the dashcam video. After hearing him tell Hendricks to stick to it, he testified against the department in related civil cases to reduce his personal liability. Terrence Aldridge donated his entire $8 million portion of the settlement to the Police Accountability Fund. Combined with the $5 million the city was mandated to contribute, the fund launched with $13 million dedicated to defending citizens who couldn't defend themselves. "I don't need $8 million, he said in a statement. "I have a federal salary and a pension. But the young black man who gets stopped next week? He doesn't have an FBI agent who recognizes him. He doesn't have a gold badge. He might not survive the encounter. This $13 million will defend people who can't defend themselves. That's justice." 6 months after the arrest, Aldridge testified before the House Judiciary Committee on Police Reform. His words echoed in the chamber. "For 18 years, I prosecuted police misconduct. I thought I understood it intellectually. But when you're face down on a BMW with handcuffs cutting into your wrists while your granddaughter screams for you, intellectual understanding becomes visceral terror. And here's what haunts me. I had every advantage. Federal badge, FBI connections, video evidence, national attention. I still spent 18 minutes in that cage. What happens to the man who has none of those things? He paused, let the question hang. I've prosecuted cases where officers claimed they feared for their lives when they shot unarmed civilians. I always thought that phrase was a legal tactic. But I felt fear that day, not fear of dying. I'm a prosecutor. I know officer-involved shootings are rare. I felt fear of powerlessness, of being erased, of my credentials, my career, my humanity, meaning nothing because a 23-year-old with 6 months of training decided they didn't. That fear? It's the same fear civilians live with every day. Except I gotta go home to my family. Not everyone does. The Aldridge Act, passed 9 months later, requires officers to verify federal credentials before arrest. Mandates body cameras must be activated for all stops. Creates independent review board for all suspicion-based stops. Ends qualified immunity defense for clear constitutional violations. Federal employees now carry standardized credential cards with QR codes. Instant verification. DOJ FBI hotline for credential verification. 24/7, less than 2-minute response time. Mandatory federal local law enforcement liaison training. Aldridge's case is now taught in every police academy in the state. Video breakdown used in implicit bias training nationwide. FBI uses the case in Joint Task Force orientation. A federal credential verification hotline was established. 1-800-VERIFY-FED. Officers can scan badge QR codes via mobile app. Instant confirmation. Civilian complaint hotline expanded. Previously 9 to 5, now 24/7. This is the kind of accountability we cover on this channel. Real consequences, real change, real justice. If you want more stories where the system actually works, subscribe right now. And drop a comment below. Should qualified immunity exist, or should every officer face the same accountability as citizens? Your voice matters in this conversation. Aldridge retired from the DOJ 6 months after the incident. Planned retirement, but accelerated. He now teaches civil rights law at Georgetown University Law Center, guest lectures at police academies nationally. His presentation, The Day I Became the Case. Speaks at congressional hearings on police reform. Still does Sunday grocery shopping with family, different store. 2 years later, Terrence Aldridge sits in his Georgetown office, rain tapping the window, Sunday morning, same time it happened. He doesn't go to Oak Ridge Whole Foods anymore, can't. Sarah does the shopping now. On his desk, a framed photo of Zoe, 4 years old now, laughing in a park, happy, safe, doesn't remember that day, thank God. On his wall, 2 federal badges side by side, the new one, pristine. And the original, crushed, boot print still visible, preserved in a shadow box. A reminder. He thinks about that Sunday morning often. The handcuffs, the stroller in the gutter, Zoe screaming, the boot print on his badge, the 18 minutes that changed everything. But mostly he thinks about the men who aren't assistant U.S. attorneys. The men who don't have gold badges FBI agents recognize, who don't have $2,800 suits that signal respectable, who don't have Georgetown law degrees, who don't have the power to fight back, the men who get slammed against cars hauled away and no one comes to save them. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Aldridge got justice not because the system works, but because he was the system. His badge opened doors. His connections triggered responses. His profession commanded respect, eventually. But justice shouldn't require a resume. It shouldn't depend on who you know. It shouldn't take an FBI agent vouching for you. It should be automatic, universal, unconditional. If you believe every citizen deserves the same protection, regardless of badge, title, or bank account, share this story. Because the only way the system changes is when we refuse to let these moments disappear into silence. Share it with someone who needs to see that accountability is possible. Officer Blake Hendricks's career is over. That's accountability. The department paid $13 million. That's consequence. New policies were written. That's progress. But until every citizen, regardless of profession, wealth, credentials, or connections, can load a stroller into a car without fear, have we really achieved justice? Or have we just proven that power protects power, and everyone else is still vulnerable? What's the value of a badge if only certain people's badges matter? What's the point of civil rights if they only apply when you're a civil rights prosecutor? And how many men are sitting in cells right now, convicted, sentenced, lives destroyed, because they didn't have Terry Aldridge's advantages when they got arrested? Justice delayed is justice denied, but justice that only applies to the powerful? That's not justice at all. That's privilege in a robe. If you believe that no one is above the law, and no one should be beneath its protection, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel is dedicated to stories where accountability actually happens, where the system works, where justice, real justice, prevails. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should qualified immunity exist, or should cops face the same accountability as citizens? Does a federal badge make you more deserving of justice, or should every person matter equally? And share this story with someone who thinks the system can't change, because Terrence Aldridge proved it can. One parking lot, 18 minutes. Federal law changed forever. Subscribe, comment, share. Because the only way we change the system is by refusing to look away, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it implicates us all. Until next time.